What's up, everyone? Chris Lopez here. And today's podcast, I want to formally introduce you to the Propertyllama software. Now, it's been mentioned off and on over various podcasts, social posts, emails, and what we're doing in this group or how we're using it, but I feel like it's not been officially introduced to the audience. And that's what I want to do in today's podcast for the software and also the co-founders with the Propertyllama software. Because going forward, you're going to see Propertyllama a lot more involved in the content we create on the podcast and YouTube channel. We're using it more and more with our clients here at Envision Advisors and have very big plans for it. Because of that, Propertyllama is one of the strategic partners here on the podcast. So going around the table, I'm going from left to right for co-founders. The first co-founder is Richard McCurr. Richard, how are you?
I'm doing really good, Chris. Great to be here, and I'm really excited to share Propertyllama with everyone.
Next co-founder is Alona Kazimirka.
Hi, everyone.
Did I get it right?
Good to be here. Yeah.
All right. Last but not least is Chelsea Scott. Good morning, Chelsea.
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Really good.
Awesome.
All right. So what is Propertyllama? In a couple words, I'd say it's a piece of software that helps people figure out what to do with their portfolio. Should I do this? Should I do that? And a few rentals. I had a bunch of rentals. How do I go from here to my goals? That's a solution we're trying to provide out there, is helping you figure out what to do with your portfolio. And that's the whole genesis of it. So Chelsea, you've also been a big part of this. How would you describe the value of Propertyllama to people?
Yeah, so Chris, it's a great question. And it was a solution we wanted to provide for all of the clients that have a portfolio of real estate investments. I'd say the greatest value is that it reduces the confusion in the process of going from maybe one single property, doubling your portfolio to two, and then maybe multiplying it until you reach your financial freedom goals. Mm-hmm. So it is that process from starting out as an investor to getting to the end line. And it has a lot of great metrics embedded and a lot of great different indicators that help you to understand the most efficient and best way to achieve what you want to in real estate investing.
Yeah, really well said.
Yeah.
And I mean, the genesis of this software, when we got connected over a year ago now, Rich and Alona, was some various spreadsheets Chelsea and I put together, help analyze properties and portfolios, and we've really morphed the latest iteration of the spreadsheet, which is Chelsea's 10 property analysis spreadsheet, into the software. Why would we go online software versus a spreadsheet for this, Richard?
Yeah, this is definitely my area of expertise. So there are several benefits to a web application compared to a spreadsheet. So probably the biggest benefit is the fact that, spreadsheets are very hard to keep track of. I'd say that's one of the most severe issues. Like to this day, I bought a property off Jenny in Colorado Springs. I cannot find that spreadsheet ever. I have to go back into my email and find it when she emailed it to me 2 years ago. Another benefit we have over the spreadsheet is that, so what's available to people today is, the Castle and Cook Mortgage single property spreadsheet. What does that spreadsheet not allow you to do? It does not allow you to enter multiple properties and then see how they all work together. Chelsea spreadsheet does, but it's a very high-powered spreadsheet that the reason we don't hand it off to people is that it would be very difficult to use. So what we've done is we've made a simplified and streamlined user interface that allows you to enter all of your properties, keep them all organized in one place online, and then also enables you to very quickly manipulate the data about the property. And so what does that mean in practical terms? Is that we can copy a property and say, okay, what if I raise rents? What if I did a refinance? And then we can say, here's portfolio A as is, and then here's portfolio B where I did a refinance and I used that refinance to purchase another property. And that we can quickly see, like, before this move, I have $25,000 a year in NOI. After this move, I have $45,000 a year in NOI with the same equity in and no additional money in. The other thing that's the huge benefit of software is that it's collaborative. And I think, Chelsea, you've got some really cool stories about the way you're working with your clients using PL.
Yeah. So first of all, I love everything you said there. It's not only does it simplify the process for people, because not everybody loves to look at a spreadsheet. I mean, I do, but
yeah, so do I.
Most people, I wouldn't say it's their favorite pastime.
Yeah.
So this is a really clean, simple way to have the software do a lot for you. So you don't have to go in there and understand all the metrics and all of the calculations involved. It will produce that on your behalf. Secondly, you mentioned Streamline, which I also love, because if you think about it, if you and your neighbor were both real estate investors and you looked at those investments side by side, whatever you're using to analyze those is likely completely separate, unless you're both using Joe Massey's spreadsheet from here. Most likely, their own homegrown version of how they analyze their properties. This is now one process for all people
with embedded best practices.
With all of the different best practices in there that we have identified within the marketplace for real estate investors and the everyday real estate investor.
What are the most important metrics that you need to look at?
Yep.
What is our definition of return on equity,
yes,
for example?
Exactly.
And it basically gives us a common language so that when I say this is a property with 13% return on equity, you as the advisor know exactly what that means and that we have a completely shared understanding.
And that's so true. It's the common language, which I really love as well. When somebody's saying cash on cash return or cap rate, everybody's understands the same information and looking at the same information.
Yeah.
That also translates when you need to work with somebody. So that collaboration piece. So the collaboration piece goes in several different directions. So one, as an advisor, and when talking with different clients on this, we are all looking at the same information. They entered their properties into Propertyllama. I'm pulling out Propertyllama and looking at exactly what they did.
Because
so we're on the same page.
Yeah. And I just want to be clear. It's not like everybody can see your properties. Chelsea is an advisor. And so she's able to come in and see everyone's property.
No. Yeah, it's a great point. No, it's not. It's a great point. There's security involved there. And also, addresses and financial information is encrypted and held behind a firewall. So it's not that this is information that goes out there. It's just,
and oftentimes obfuscated too. Like we hide certain details because, like, for instance, your loan number.
But it's back to the
bringing out some of the techie stuff, because I mean, this is all great stuff, but to keep it high level, like this is a pain point most clients over the years is, hey, underwriting a property to buy is pretty formulaic. When it comes time to what to do with a portfolio you own and then matching that with your goals, it's a very different thing. It's a lot less formulaic, a lot less hard and fast rule. And that's where the software has the standardized functionality in there. And then you have the human element that can help you interpret it and bounce ideas around. Hey, here's options. Let's look at scenario 1, 2, and 3 and figure out what the best move is for it as well. And that's really the ultimate goal, is to take where people are currently at. And these are just other, I'll say landlords like us, just people that directly own real estate, have rentals. It's a big piece of their financial future and their net worth. And how do we go from where we're going to the goals? And that's a big part of the software, in addition to, hey, let's look at your portfolio now and run scenarios, but actually let's identify what your goals are. What's your long-term NOI goal? What's your cash flow goals? What's your goals on here? Because writing it down helps you see how these scenarios get you really close together. And I'm going to use Richard and Lona here for example, because we took your guys' portfolio through numerous times to model it, because there's very stereotypical properties out here. And both of you had different reactions when it came time to discuss goals and plans, which I think is, you guys are smiling at it, but it's a very common thing where, as with a lot of times in partnerships and marriages, not everyone's on the same page. And Ilona, when you sat down and started the current portfolio and looking at your goals, how do you interpret that, and how to help you go from where you're at and get a better idea about where you wanted to go in your own investing?
Yeah, so I think for I already knew what the metrics that are important for me. So I had metrics identified in my head, NOI is important for me, LTV, etc. So when actually Richard put our properties into Propertyllama, I was actually able to see, okay, now we're really below those actual numbers that, are considered good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
And we were wow, we really need to do something about this. So it actually helped drive the decisions and actually figure out the next steps. We probably need to refi, or we need to sell. And, we had a couple of scenarios. We planned, okay, now we need to figure out where to do this properties like Colorado Springs, so this and that. And then we put a couple of options there for us that we considered and discussed, and that helped us move forward.
And I want to emphasize that we're the ones who designed and built the software, and we were shocked at the result. Absolutely shocked.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But that's the actually one, and that's
it was a great, positively shocked, amazing experience.
But for lack of better words, it's a reality check, is what I can tell people. It's a reality check on your portfolio, your goals, and also what's the market doing as well. So, I mean, I think we covered a good high level about the software and what it does. And I really want to kind of spend the next couple minutes as we wrap up, talk about where we're going with it. because, this last year we wrapped up that portfolio analysis mastermind group. We took a bunch of people that first one. I mean, the feedback was amazing. And I think it very much affirmed for all of us that this is the right direction.
Yes.
We're enjoying it. There's a need out there in the marketplace. And, a big part of what we do here is always continually improving. That was the genesis of software. And we always have more goals, more improvements on the software. So we'll kind of go down a few of the bigger updates that we're planning on. We're not going to give you specific dates, but we're sharing to give you the idea. And also because we like to document what we're doing here and you can see where we're going. So one of the big things we're going to be working on is, if you log in the software, you'll see it on there called AI Advisor Tips. Artificial intelligence tips is what we're going for, which is taking a lot of these key indicators and helping people interpret what it means. Now, Richard, you're doing a lot of the programming on here. How would you describe the AI advisor tips that we are working on for the software?
Yeah, what I would say is that, so the philosophy that we use for underwriting, and I would say that there is a philosophy baked into any underwriting model of which numbers are important to you in this model that you're going to use to make decisions. For us, that's largely loan to value, return on equity, and trying to maximize NOI over time. So what the AI will do is try to get you there. So what it's going to do is it's going to find problems or opportunities in your portfolio. For example, what happened with us is we had a lot of equity in an underperforming property. And that was simply from just massive appreciation. That was from things going well. But regardless, we found out that we had to 1031 a property and trade into something bigger. Now, we had to do that manually, but what this AI advisor will do is it will be able to say, you have $300,000 in a property that's like a low 3 cap. Here's what would happen if you were to 1031 this into a 5 cap multifamily valued at $1.3 million or something like that. And here's how the scenario, here's before, here's after. Do you want to speak with Chelsea about making this move?
Yeah. No, and the whole point of that is to take those indicators that we know are rules of thumb to identify, and then start earning other metrics and saying, hey, Mr. User, Mrs. User, here's something to look for. Here's some potential opportunities from the foundational, then you loop in the human side.
And totally automated. So instead of you having to build out 3 portfolios, it'll generate 3 portfolios. It'll say, here's what would happen if you refied. Here's what would happen if you sold. And so that you don't have to lift a finger. And you'll get an email digest, in fact, of suggestions constantly.
Next thing to focus on is better scenario planning. And Chelsea is something we've chatted a lot about because running those scenarios, the what if I do this, those what if questions, that is where a lot of the confusion is and also opportunity for investors. So when it comes to better scenario planning, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so it's a great point because that is the general purpose of portfolio analysis. So portfolio analysis advising is really about taking somebody's property set and figuring out how to optimize it. And what I mean by that is how to run it to get it you closest from your actual portfolio performance to what you want to see, which is your goal set. And this software lines up your goals and your actuals and shows you literally visually how you're tracking toward that. And how what progress you're making on a regular basis, an annual basis, a 5-year basis, a 10-year projection. So it forecasts for you into the future. And so if you're deciding, what if I take this equity and move it from here to here? Will I do better? The software will give you that answer. And then what if I take this scenario with cash flow at this level and turn it into a different scenario, like a short-term rental? It will track that for you. So it gives you all your different options, which is what I would say from an advisory standpoint, people really love. They really love to look at their options and then make a choice that they feel is very informed. They're looking at actual data points. They're looking at actual metrics to make their choices. Mm-hmm. And the software does a great job at that. Yeah.
All right, some other things rolling down very soon, or I shouldn't say very soon, that are in the plans for later this year is doing a lot more integration of data feeds. Mm-hmm. So things help estimate rents, prices, public data feeds. A lot of stuff we're starting to work on to get the feeds in there. Just, hey, the more accurate the data, the better, which is one thing you don't get in the spreadsheets.
Well, and it's really important to the underwriting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's extremely important.
And it's in real time.
This is what happened to us. Mm-hmm. That's the reason we had our result, is that I still had the mental model of the cap rate for a property that I bought 2 years ago. The price has changed.
Yep.
That is not a 5 cap anymore.
So that real-time valuation today will adjust the cap rate for you for the next time you log in.
Yeah. Without you having to be reminded, hey, by the way, you guys go.
Yeah.
So To wrap this up, because I know we want to give a high-level overview of everyone out there, give people direction, and like I said, do a formal introduction of Propertyllama to our audience, because I feel like we haven't done one yet. Yeah. You're going to be seeing Propertyllama in a lot more portfolio analyses. You're going to be seeing a lot more features rolled out, a lot more situations that we're using with clients, help them go out there and achieve their goals. So stay tuned for that. Couple items if you want to. If you want to register for the software, you can go register, create a free account, enter your properties into there and see this analysis. If you do go into your properties, block out some time to do it. It's not a 5-minute plug in a spreadsheet. It takes some time to gather the data. Details and data matter when looking at a portfolio. Secondly, we will be running another portfolio analysis mastermind group later this year. So stay tuned for that if you want to participate in a small group mastermind on working with other people, identifying your portfolio. And as a general networking tool out there, since this software came together from people in the podcast, we want to keep that theme out there. I know we have a lot of people in the tech space, analytical space. Log in the software if you guys have ideas, you see opportunities, you see collaboration, reach out to us. It's very much a grassroots organization right now, and it's being built by the community. So all those links in the show notes. We are very excited. Guys, thank you. And listeners and viewers, log in the software and give us your feedback.